Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my Game of Thrones Legends mobile game content. So today folks, I want to talk about something that I have been seeing go on in my direct messages, in my private Discord server about Game of Thrones Legends, in the official Discord about Game of Thrones Legends, and that is the big influx of new players. I want to talk to that segment of the player base, the newer players that have played the game for less than a month. And I want to teach you guys something that is so critical for your account. If you're going to play this game, then you're going to need to know how to do this, and I want to talk to you about that right now. I have been getting an insane amount of DMs all of a sudden the last month from new players that say, "Hey Mirandus, I watch your content and I was wondering if you could help me understand this a little better or that a little better." Well, one of the main questions that I get asked all the time is, how do I get my skills up on my heroes that I like? This is something that I have made, I think, 2 different versions of this video on in the past. They quickly become outdated because the strategies change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit this again for the 3rd time and make a new ultimate guide for new players on how to skill book farm effectively. This is something that is critical to your account if you're a new player, because you have to get those skills up on your heroes. You have to understand that your heroes are only as good as their skills, and there's differing types of skills, and we kind of need to talk about those and why you need to farm those skill books to be able to get these skills up. So first off, let's look at those skills. Now, I do want to say that this video is not really intended for my sweaty tryhard bros and sis that play the game hardcore and have played, since release. I did look up the stats on release, and I have been playing since release and before in the beta actually, so I've had plenty of time to level up my account. So there's a lot of things on my account that you as new players may see and be like, "Oh my god, how in the world did he ever get a 7-star Ned?" Well, that's because I put a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into this game, and my results from where I'm at right now are a little bit different than where you'll be as a new player. Well, a lot different actually. But I did want to say that this video is not really intended for players that have been playing the game for a long time that have advanced accounts. This game released in July of 2024. So we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Game of Thrones Legends. So as you can tell, a game that's been out for a year is going to have a lot of players that have super advanced accounts, because a lot of us have been playing since day 1 every day of our lives since the release date. I don't think there has been one single day that I did not open Game of Thrones Legends and make some progress on my account in some form or fashion. And that's something that as a new player you need to get. That is critical. Always be trying to advance your account in some way, form, or another. Okay, that's critical to get, because all the bonuses and all the resources and all the levels that you put on your heroes and all that stuff all adds up over time, and you want to be as efficient as possible. That's my motto about playing games, is efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. That is what is really super important to me, because if you're like me, my time is the most important thing I have in my life, other than my family and my faith and all that kind of stuff. But my time is one of the rarest resources that I have in this life. I only get a certain amount, unfortunately, and the time that I choose to spend playing games is something that I need to be efficient with, and I need to stack those bonuses so that I can make progress on my account, because if I don't want to progress my account, then why am I playing? Okay, just plain and simple. But let's get back into talking about the ultimate guide to how you will farm skill books as a new player. So I started showing you a character at the start, and I want to find one that's level 1 that really doesn't have a lot of effort put into it at all. Okay, so this is a good example. This is a character that's level 1. I have him at 4 stars because when I pulled for him at the start, I got a certain amount, and then I've, gradually gotten some through the gold road and through other means that by purchases that have allowed me to get him up in the star rank, okay? So the things that you'll notice is that each hero has skills. One of them will be a hero leadership skill if that character is able to be a leader. And this one is an example of one that is able to be a leader. And he has a leadership ability that, where's it at? Oh, right here. You'll see the little icon right here that says leader. That means that this hero has the ability to be a leader. And you can set 1 leader per team of 5. And that ability will work only when that character is designated as the leader. You have to actually physically tick the little box on your team that says this guy is the leader. And only the heroes that have the leadership ability will show that little box there for you to do that. But on this one right here, it shows when a brittle enemy gains a buff, all allied Starks gain 15% defense and tenacity for 3 turns plus 5% attack. So that's a pretty standard leadership ability. What it does is it gives the hero himself a bonus, and it also usually will affect the faction that they are a part of in some shape, form, or fashion. Now you will see that this ability is level 2 because whenever I hit 4 stars with this hero, his level 1 ability gained the ability to advance to the next level. So now he is at level 2 with this ability, and whenever I reach 5 stars, well, actually it's level 1 right now, I'm sorry, but when I reach level 2 at 5 stars is when I get the ability for this skill to go up. Now there's nothing I have to do with this skill to get it to level, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make the distinction between this kind of skill and the active skill that you actually are leveling. You then get another skill with all your heroes that is just basically kind of a passive type skill that works always no matter what, and you level that up as you gain in stars as well, and then you get a stats bonus on each hero. But the skills we want to focus on is this one right here. So this is your hero's skill, and each hero gets the ability to have one of these, and it does something. Each hero has his own flavor of skill that kind of meshes with the type of hero they are, as far as whether they're a fighter, a strategist, or protector, and then kind of their story in the lore as well. The lore of Game of Thrones will kind of decide what that character can kind of do with their skill, because they try to keep it relevant to the mythos of Game of Thrones. So a lot of times you'll see that these skills will actually have something that is familiar from the lore that this hero was known for doing, type of thing. Like a Thoros of Myr is a great example, because his skill is like allowing him to bring people back from the dead, and that's completely what he did in Game of Thrones, type of thing. So these are what's really super important for your heroes, though, because on these skills you have the ability to level them up. Now you will be stargated at certain points with these skills, and it will say, only when you reach level 4 on 4 stars, you have the ability to take this skill up to the next level. Only when you reach 5 stars, you have the ability to take this skill up next level. But if you're planning on using a hero, you have to plan ahead and know that as you use that hero and gain the stars on them and gain the abilities to level these skills up, you need to have the skill books available to do it. Now, this is why this guide is of utmost importance to you as a new player. You need to know this one thing probably more than just about anything else in the game, because farming skill books is critical to powering up your heroes. If you don't do it, you will be able to power them up eventually, because you will get skill books as rewards from doing things, but an effective player actively goes after the ones they need, and they don't just willy-nilly try to gather skill books randomly and hope that, oh, someday I'll get enough to level this character up. They surgically attack the type of skill book they need for the hero that they are trying to level up, and that's why having a plan for a certain faction that you're interested in building a team for, or a certain team comp that you're interested in going after, you know, like for me, if I was interested in going for the Stark faction because I like the sound of their faction bonus, 5 team members reduces enemy stamina gain by 50%. That can be huge, especially if you have 5 Starks on a team. So if you're looking at building a certain team comp, then you may want to pay attention to that faction's people, because these are going to be the type of people you want to add into your party. So let's just take Starks for example, because they're a good example to look at. If I was going to try to build a team of Starks, then I might go over here on my faction list, filter it for Starks, and then I can look at all the available Starks that I have unlocked. Now, your roster is probably going to look a lot different as a new player than mine, because I have actually unlocked a lot of the, well, actually it says 15 and 15, so that means that I've unlocked all of the Starks. So I have all of the Starks to choose from when thinking about building a team. But the whole point of this video is paying attention to which ones I'm actually going for, so that I can farm skill books for those heroes efficiently and get their skills up to a higher level. Because I promise you, at higher levels, these skills get very expensive as far as the amount of skill books that they are required to have to be able to level them up, but the bonuses are huge. Like on this one, for the level 10 upgrade for my Ned, it shows that it will give him a plus 10% chance to afflict ice. He's already at a 65% chance to afflict all of his attackers with ice, but that will bump him up to 75, and that's huge for him because that's one of his main deals that he does. So that's something that I'm really striving for. As you can see in the list of the skill books I need some of these, some of these, and some of these, and right now I am one short on this one right here to be able to level up to his level 10 version of his skill, and I'm actively waiting on that one to pop up in my rewards so I can get it. Or I could possibly do this, and we need to talk about this because this is a thing that you can do. I could possibly go here, and I do want to call something out about this while I'm here. I just want to tell the developers that put this in place, I love this right here. This little search mechanic that allows you to kind of scroll through the offers. It was a really good ad, and I like that because it was very annoying to have to constantly look at one and then scroll down in the list and look at each one individually. It took a lot of time and a lot of clicks that I didn't really have the time for, but I really like this ability right here, so kudos to whoever thought that up. That's a nice quality of life type improvement right there. So actually what I did want to point out to you is that when you do get to a point that you're missing like one that is at a level that's very hard for you to get, like this one is a expert book, and those are very hard to achieve because those only come from certain places like high-end event rewards, high-end dragon legendary assault rewards, or basically just purchasing them. And so this is an option that you have. You can see that for $5 I can get some of these. Some of these you can farm the apprentice and the novice, you can farm, but sometimes you just want to just make it get done, and you don't have 2 hours to spend farming to try to get this amount of these. So, you know, you have for $5, you have 3 abilities to buy this one, and this one rotates like every few days. So eventually your class that you're waiting on will come around in this one. Excuse me. I have bought this in the past many times. This has been a very good buy for me a lot of times, especially when I've been trying to get my skills up. So don't forget about this. This can be really helpful, especially when you're trying to go after this level of book. So yeah, that's really something you need to be aware of that you can do. But back to hero skills. The thing that you need to be really paying attention to when you finally land on some heroes that you want to build a team around, you need to be focusing on this dude right here. This is the slot where the skill that you can actually level through your skill book farming always lives. It always lives right here on all heroes, and it will tell you the amount that you need. So let's go back to a hero that's more realistic for a new player, because that's what this guide is built around. It's built around doing stuff for the new player. Okay, so now I have a hero that has a level 1 ability in this slot, and you can see that because I have him leveled up in stars, you get the ability to level up his skill, and you'll see that little icon there. I think you start to really get the ability to level up skills at 3 or 4 stars. I can't remember exactly where it actually starts, but for the first couple of stars you won't have the ability to level this skill up, but when you get to your 3rd or your 4th, I can't remember exactly, you will get the ability to start to level this skill up, and you'll get the ability to take it up to like level 2 and level 3, and then it'll lock again until you get another star, and then you can get level 5 type of thing. And the maximum that any hero skill can go up to is 10. So unfortunately about the skill up process, you can only see the level up that you could possibly get for the next level. You can't really scroll through this in any manner and kind of look ahead to decide if those skills are something that you want. So that's something that's possibility for the developers to think about, maybe making some sort of quality of life improvement so that the player can actually look at these skills on down the road and help them decide if this hero is the one they actually want to focus on. Because once you spend these resources, they're gone, and you have to start over with the farming process. So it's very critical for new players especially to spend these wisely, and that's another point we need to really get into, and that is planning your team is of utmost importance, because like I said, once you spend these resources, they are then gone. So you need to make sure that you spend them wisely, because the game's just not going to throw you tons of apprentice books at random, tons of, you know, master books at random. These are going to be things that, yes, you can earn from doing stuff other than farming, but it's not like every time you get a reward they're going to dump a wheelbarrow full on you. That's not how this game works. This game is the type of game that causes you to really think about how you spend your resources, because obviously most people want to try to figure out how to play this game without, or any games of this type, without spending a ton of money. But you know, you have to be willing to understand that to get anywhere you're going to have to open your wallet at some point. But being effective on your farming for your certain resources that you're trying to get to is really critical. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make to new players is be efficient and have a plan, okay? Because that's super important. Okay, so on to the next topic. We've talked about what the skills are, how you level them, all that kind of stuff. So now let's go on to the next part of the process. And the next part of the process is the actual farming of those novice and apprentice skill level books so that you can start to level up your hero skills. Now, the best place for you to do that, and you can get rewards through other measures. Let's talk about those real quick before we actually go into how you do the bulk of your farming. Trials is a great place to get skill book rewards because every few days this one pops up, the skill book trial, and every time it changes it will rotate to a different class. So if you're waiting on the strategist, then today is your day. You jump in here, you spend your energy, you build the team you need, and you can get some novice, some apprentice, and it's mainly focused around the really good higher rewards of the group are always for the class that it's focused on, but it will also give you some other rewards for other classes. So for like this one, it shows you could got some novice skill books, some beast skill books, and this was mender I meant to say, and then on this one you can actually get your expert book, then you can get some apprentice mender, which these are at the last level of the tier, obviously the better rewards, beast apprentice books. So as you can see, this is a really good one to watch out for because this will help you get the specific hero you're trying for, and then some of the other ones will be included in the rewards as well, usually 3 per trial. So you can see you've got strategist, beast, and mender in this one, and this is also the champion requirement, so it will require you to build a team of these particular types of characters so that you can get these types of rewards. So the trial is a great place to get skill books, so you always want to look there as well. Now, one of the other places that you can get skill books is in your alliance. So you can do things like legendary assault, and the rewards that you can get in this are going to be, and I can't really show you the chest because it will not allow me to click on them. That's something that developers, you could possibly think about including as well, allowing people the ability to actually see the type of rewards that are in the chest so that it kind of makes them salivate over those rewards and try harder. So that might be a nice little quality of life thing to include. But what I'm trying to say is the legendary assault mechanic in a guild is another place that you can get skill book rewards. All you have to do is fight the dragon and do some damage, and you qualify for a certain type of chest, and in those chests, when it's over, you get your rewards. Now obviously my alliance is at max level. We do 10 skull dragons, so we're going to get the biggest rewards that are possible in the game right now. Your alliance, if you're a new player, is probably going to be on the lower end, but don't poo-poo that, because those rewards are still good for you as a new player. You need to be participating in this every day for your alliance, not only to help your alliance but to help yourself, because those rewards are key, and skill books are in those rewards that you can get as well. There is also another mode that is available that will allow you to get some skill books, and that is the Crowns Challenge. So the Crowns Challenge goes on for like 28 or 29 days whenever it's active. Right now we're in the middle of a waiting period for the next Crowns Challenge to start, but on a rotating schedule, 2 of these will be open at any given time, unless it's Sunday, and then Sunday they're all open. But the fact is that these modes right here are very, very critical to giving you rewards to help you build your account. This is one of the best places in the game to get silver, and I'm going to talk about that in another video for new players coming up soon. But this is also a really good place to get skill books as well, because these modes in the Crowns Challenge give a lot of skill books. So whenever this is active, don't shoo this away. Make sure you're in there fighting it out and getting your skill books. Now, the best place to farm skill books is in the campaign. And to farm the campaign, you need to be aware of one other mechanic, and that is your energy bar. Because as you farm in the campaign, you will need energy per battle to be able to pay the cost to actually do the battle. So you can see right now that I'm at 3 of 38. And if I wanted to, I could go into the store and I could buy more energy for gold. That's always an option if you get desperate. But usually, just let your energy bar refill and spend it when it's full. Don't just let it sit there, because that's one of the things that you have to really get down as a new player if you're going to be effective is efficiency. So whenever your bars are full, you need to be spending that, because these points refresh on a timer, and I think it's like you get 1 energy every 15 to 30 minutes or something like that is where it's set at right now. So it takes a little bit of time for your energy bar to refill once you deplete it. So you want to kind of check in every few hours and see where you're at, and whenever it gets full, spend it. Don't just let it sit there and be wasted. Now, how do you get this energy? Well, that's through the process of leveling up your main hero and your main account, basically. So right now, if you look at mine, you can see that I'm level 44 and I'm 80,000 of 92,000 to get to level 45. Whenever you get a level on your main hero account, you usually will get an addition to your energy pool. Starting out as a new player and a level 1, you have a lower energy pool. I think it's something like 20-ish or something like that is kind of where you start out at as a new player. And each one of these battles that I'm fixing to show you will cost a certain amount of energy. So through the process of leveling up to acquire these skill books, you're going to level up your hero as well. And this process slows down big time whenever you get to the higher levels, because right now you can see I need 92,000 experience to be able to go up one more level. When I get to 45, this is going to go to 100,000 and something. I don't really know right where it goes, but it's going to be a lot. So that's something that you need to keep in mind, that this process is going to seem fast at first, because the first 15-20 levels will just kind of boom, 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 you know, progress you up there and make you feel like Superman, but it's going to slow down. So just be aware of that at some point. But the main reason why you want to focus on farming skill books, which also has the cool side effect of leveling up your main account, which will then give you more energy to use towards doing more battles per refill. So that's a key mechanic that people need to understand, that this energy to do the battles comes from your levels, and that's how you get it. That's the only way you can increase your energy pool. Now, you can refresh your amount of energy by buying energy in the shop, or you also can get, let's look at the rewards, and you can get these things right here, a full energy refill. Now, the game is really cool in that it does give you these at irregular intervals, you know, like every day or every other day, you'll get a little notification that pops up that says claim your reward, and you get a full little energy refill flag. Those are very cool, and it's very nice to see the developers throw those out there like that, because that helps people advance their accounts. As you can see, I have 82 of these, and I am really been a lazy slob here lately. I need to be using these. I need to be farming and getting those skill books, because even still at my level, I still need skill books. I still need a lot of skill books. You can see on some classes I do have a lot stacked up, because that's because I'm not actively pursuing leveling up those type of heroes. But as you can see, my Mender, I'm weak on that because I'm working on leveling up some of my Mender skills right now. My Strategist, I'm a little low on those because I just got through upgrading some of my Strategist skills. And then you can see that the Novice ones, I have quite a few in most of the types because those are the ones that I'm actively farming for. But what I was wanting to get across is these right here. Make sure you're using them. They really don't do you any good if you hang on to them, because if they're just sitting in your inventory and not going to use, then you are not progressing your account. You're not progressing the total of energy that you could have in your pool, and you're not refreshing your energy using those free resources so that you can get down to the business of farming skill books. So while those can be useful to hoard for events, for when you know that you want to take part in an event and you need to refresh your energy multiple times to get through that difficulty level of the event you're trying to work on, that's about the only reason why I would hoard those. You need to be using them to do skill book farming at all possible, unless, like I say, that you're trying to hoard a few for events, because you know you're going to need like 3 full energy refreshes to get through treacherous on whatever the event is, or whatever, you know. The main reason, excuse me, I couldn't get that word out. The main reason for having them is to use them to do skill book farming. Okay, so now that we've talked about everything that has to do with the process, and we've went all around the world with this, let's bring it back full circle and let's come back to the actual process of skill book farming, because there is a technique and it is critical, because if you don't follow the best practice technique, it will take you twice as long to get the amount of skill books you need. You will be ineffective, and you will waste a lot of energy, and you will frankly not get a lot of the good rewards that you could have had you paid attention to how you do this type of thing. Okay, so let's take a specific hero in mind when we're planning what we're going to do. So one of the heroes that I'm actively working on right now is my Mender. He is a Mender, and he has a skill that I want to level up, which is his level 10 upgrade on his healing skill. And actually, this is not the one I wanted to focus on. This one is the Maester. He has a skill, which he is still a Mender, and he has a skill that I want to take up to level 9, so that I can get that extra 5% of healing when he uses his heal ability. Now you can see that I am low on the Mender apprentice level of skill books, so that's what I'm going to be farming for. Novice you can get anywhere, and even in the starting levels of where we farm, you get novice all day long. Apprentice are the ones that appear at certain intervals only, not every single battle. Novices you'll get every single battle. Apprentices, you will only get them when they show up every so often in the rewards for the particular area you're farming. So you have to farm effectively to know how to maximize your time and energy spent to be able to focus on getting as many of these as possible. Now this one right here, the expert level book, that's a whole other animal, but what we want to focus on right now for new players is where you're going to be starting out with the novice and the apprentice level books. So that's where we're going. So first thing I want to do is I want to pick the type of hero that I want to farm for, because the books will drop in specific instances of the campaign that are for the particular class that you're trying to work on. Okay, so that's a key point that you have to get across right away. This is a Mender, so this is where I'm going to look, because I want to get Mender books, because that's what I'm working on. So now we go to the campaign, because this is where you're going to focus on getting skill books. The smartest thing for you to do is go down in the campaign to the early levels, because, and I'm going to tell you why, the early levels cost, let's get to the point that we have to pay the cost and we'll see it. The early levels of the campaign cost 4 energy each run, okay? So keep that in mind. And then you'll also see that during the victory condition, you get certain rewards. You get gear. You get the ability to start to get your skill books, and these chests right here, these specific square chests, are always going to look like this whenever you get a skill book drop. And it's telling you that you have the ability to get novice books out of this box, and that you're going to get a guaranteed drop of 1 to 5 and a chance drop of 1 to 2 or 1 to 5 skill books. So usually the amount you're going to get is somewhere right around this right here, but you also have a chance to drop something else, but that's so small that I usually never see it happen. What you want to focus on is looking for the type of book that you're trying to get in these rewards. So for 4 energy, I'm going to pay the cost and do this battle once, and I will get this amount of novice skill books. Now, what you need to know is the apprentice level books will pop up in these battles sometimes too, but it's not really on any kind of a pattern that we have been able to define. It just seems random, and trust me, we have tried for months and months and months to break the code on how these skill books drop, what is the pattern, and I honestly just think it's as random as they could make it, because every time we think we get a pattern, it changes and it doesn't happen again the next time. But on average, for me, it is about like every 5 to 6 battles I'll start to see a silver chest appear right here or right here for gear, and those are the next level of resource that you're looking to get. Yes, you want to get as many novice as you can, because you're going to need a ton of novice books to get your skills up, but what you're really trying to do in this mode is to focus on paying attention to the rewards so that you can make sure that you get as many apprentice level books as you can, because those are obviously going to be harder to get, and you will need those for the higher level skills. Whenever you start to get to level 3, 4, 5 and up, that's where you start to actually burn the apprentice level books, and you will need those, and this is where you get them. So the first thing you want to do is you want to stay on the particular type of battle for the hero class that you're facing. So if you look in the list, you'll see that chapter 3 is focused on Mender, and that is the one that I was trying to go for. If I was trying to go for a different class, I can look through the list, and this one is focused on Protector. This one is focused on Strategist, if I remember right. Yeah, Strategist. And each one of these will be for a different class. This is Marksman. That's how this progression works. And it will usually be in the same order. Strategist, Protector, Mender, Marksman, blah, 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 on down the line, until you get through all of them, and then it will cycle over again. And you can see at 7, we start to cycle through them again. And they're in the same order, you know. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, the reason why I'm picking these down here is because for the energy costs per battle, these are the most effective ones to battle in for the energy cost, because even on the higher level ones that cost more energy per battle, let's just pick one of the higher level ones to show you, the energy battle cost goes up, and it becomes not worth it. Okay, so it used to. Does it not anymore? Okay. Okay, let me actually go into the battle, because that may be what I have left. Okay, yeah, see, so that's what I was trying to say. I was getting confused because I was looking at what I had left, thinking that was the actual cost for the battle. But as you can see, the cost of the battle does go up. So when we get to some of the higher than the first 6 or so, you'll see that the energy cost goes up. So now we're at the point where on chapter 14, which is just 13 more chapters than where we were at before, you see the energy cost goes up to 6 per battle, and you're not really getting a huge difference in resource rewards from that level to this level, and you're getting the same amount of skill books and the same amount of apprentice drops, basically. So it's really not to your benefit to hit those harder level campaigns. It is to your benefit, if what you're after is skill book farming, to stay low and pay cheap. So 4 is the cheapest that you can possibly get for a energy cost, so that's where you want to stay, okay? Because that will be the most efficient use of your energy that you have. Now, the next thing that you need to keep in mind when farming is that you need to check different difficulty levels every single battle, because sometimes on treacherous you won't see any apprentice chest rewards, but if you check hard you might see an apprentice chest reward here, and I'll show you that here in a minute, because I'll eventually get it to pop to where it will be like that. But every single time you do a battle, the cost is the same for hard or treacherous, but you need to check each one, because sometimes the epic skill chests will drop on the treacherous version and not hard, or the hard and not treacherous. So you need to look at each one of those every single time. Now, the apprentice skill books never drop on normal, so don't farm on normal. That's just not effective for you. You want to farm on either hard or treacherous, and you're looking every single time to try to see if that epic or that gray chest is there, and I'll show you that here in just a minute, because I'll get one to drop. Now, if you get to the point that there is not one on hard and there is not one on treacherous, just do treacherous, because the cost is the same, but you will get a tiny amount of more rewards for doing the treacherous version versus the hard version. So let's go ahead and do some so that we can get those skill books to actually pop. And for me, I've got a team that's pretty fast, and this is kind of a team that I use for skill book farming, because you'll see I have it on 2 times and I have it on auto, and I can be doing something else while I'm doing this, because when you get to be serious about your skill book farming, you may go through 50 to 100 battles to get what you need, okay? So now we look in the rewards and we see that we get some common gear. Don't thumb your nose at this, because you will need tons of this to level up your equipment. So these are good drops that you will need, so don't discount those. You did get some novice skill books, and you can see I got 1, plus I got a random drop of 8, so I got 9 this time, so that was actually a pretty good reward. I got 33 silver, I got 150 XP, which is super important because you want to be leveling up your account so you can get more energy, remember, and then you will get food and you will get iron, which is important for a lot of other things as well. So farming the skill books gives you some good rewards. All right, so now I did 1 and I'm going to continue on. I'm going to stay on the same mode, the same battle, because I'm trying to get mender books. So this is what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to look in hard. There's not one. I'm going to look in treacherous. There's not one, so I'm just going to do treacherous, because that's the best rewards out of the 2. If neither one has an epic skill chest, then your best option is this. Now, as a new player, you may not actually have treacherous unlocked yet, and that's going to be your cue to make you go through the campaign and do some of the steps of the campaign until you get to a certain point in the campaign. It will allow you to then go back and unlock treacherous mode and start to work through these earlier battles in treacherous mode. And you'll see whenever you do this that you'll have the normal mode, you'll have the treacherous, and you'll have the Kingslayer mode, or whatever it's called, unlocked. That's what those little icons mean down there. When you get to the point that you don't have that mode unlocked for the difficulty level of the quest you're doing, it will be grayed out and you won't see it. But when you actually beat that full chapter, all of the battles at that difficulty mode, then you unlock it for the future. So if you don't have let's go back into it. If you don't have hard and treacherous unlocked, that's because you need to play the campaign through on normal, through on hard, and get to the point that it will allow you to unlock treacherous, and then go back and start to unlock those chapters on treacherous. Because for this skill book farming method to work, you need hard and treacherous unlocked. That's a must, because that gives you the ability to bounce back and forth between the two to fish for crates that you're looking for your apprentice skill books. So I don't have one on hard or treacherous, so I'm going to go ahead and just do another playthrough of treacherous. I'm out of energy, so this is a time where I need to use one of my refills. Okay, so now I have 38 of 38, and we'll go back into it. We'll let the battle play on autoplay, because for me, I'm already to the point that I'm so strong that this is no challenge, but that's fine, because what you're doing is you're farming. So you want to put a fast team in there that does some AoE and that charges fast and that makes good power strikes, so that you can get through the mode quickly and then go to the next one. Okay, here we go. So now I've been through 2 battles so far, and now I get my first chance to get the apprentice skill book. So what you're going to get is a guaranteed drop of novice, and you get a chance drop of amateur, which is the apprentice, I think is what they're called actually. Excuse me. But that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so now on treacherous, I know it's there. Let me just show you what it looks like on hard, and you'll see that it actually dropped in hard as well. So if you don't have the ability to have treacherous unlocked, you could at least farm strictly on hard, and you would eventually get the chance to get some of these. Normal, just remember, these do not drop on normal, so don't waste your time on normal unless you just don't have these unlocked and all you need is the first level of the book. Then I guess you could do normal to get those, but you're going to quickly get to the point that you want to move away from normal and focus on hard and treacherous. Okay, so for this example, I have a skill book box on hard, but I also have it on treacherous, so I want to do it on treacherous because that's where the biggest return on investment is going to be for resources and skill books. So let's play this one, and you'll see that at the end I will get that reward for the type of books that I'm actually going for, those mid-level books that are so important. And you can see it dropped right there as a reward. And then at the end of the battle, we'll see, boom, bada bing, there is one right there. So now we have the Apprentice Mender skill book, and this is what we've been farming for to get these. Yes, we want these too, but these are going to be the ones that you actually have to physically farm to get, because those are going to only come to you like 1 or possibly 2 at a time, and it's going to take a minute to get what you need on those. Because for your first few levels of your starting skill advancement, you'll need like 30, 40, 50, so that may take a minute. So now I'm checking my battle, and you can see the chest is not appearing on hard, but it is appearing on treacherous. So that's why you look every single time, because it may be on one and not the other, and you want to make sure that you do the level of the battle that has that reward, because that's why you're here, right? So why are you doing it if you're not focusing on getting that? So this is key to maximizing your efficiency, checking every single time. Okay, you have to check every single time, because these boxes pop at random, and sometimes they're on hard, sometimes they're only on treacherous, sometimes they're on both, and sometimes they're not on either. So you have to really focus on watching that. Sorry, I had to take a cough break, and then I had to take a drink of coffee. But now you see in this one, I got another one. So we just keep on going. Sometimes they will appear in 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then you'll run into a gap where you don't have one again for 5 or 6 battles. Just keep on going. They will eventually show up again. Right now, it's not on hard and it's not on treacherous, so I'm going to do treacherous because treacherous is the best return on investment for the rest of this stuff for the same energy cost. So it really, it behooves you to do treacherous when the option is to not get a book. You want to do treacherous. So we'll keep on letting the game fight it out, and I can be doing something else on a different screen. I can be working on something else and just randomly reaching over here and clicking and checking and starting a new battle while I do something else. For me right now, I'm making content while I'm farming books, but I'm teaching you, so you can see that it's kind of cool because it gets to a point to where it's easy enough that you can continue on just kind of letting it automate itself. And that's one of the cool things about this game that I really have always loved, is the ability to have auto battle. I see this in a lot of other match style games that I play and a lot of other games that I play, and I love it. When a game doesn't have a speed function and an auto battle function, I probably won't even play it, because there's so many times where I want to do other stuff, but I like the ability to still farm my game. You know what I mean? So that's something that I really love about this game. If I was to do a top 5 feature of all the things I love about Game of Thrones Legends, auto battle would be one of them. And it's kind of a standard thing in these kind of games nowadays, but when you don't have it, you notice it for real. And that's one of the reasons why I love it, because it's here. I like to automate my battles whenever possible because I'm like a multitasker. I'm doing a lot of things at once, and I like that ability. Okay, so we've had like 3 or 4 battles in a row where we haven't got one, but we're continuing to push on through because eventually they're going to start dropping again, and you'll see that probably in the next one or the next one after that. You'll start to see that they'll start dropping again, and then we'll get a few in a row, and then, it's back to square one. So you are going to burn a lot of battles where you don't get the apprentice book, and then boom, here you go. We got one now. But we're still going to check hard, and we're still going to check treacherous, because sometimes you'll get a drop of an epic gear chest as well. So this kind of adds another layer of complexity to the farming. Is, are you trying to get an epic best in slot piece of gear for your particular class you're working on, or do you have another class like the protector that you need an epic piece of gear for that you haven't got yet? So you may want to pay attention to that when you're farming. So as you can see, when a chest drops, it drops across all versions. So if you needed one in a different archetype of character, you could go to that level and get it. But we're focusing on Mender right now. But one of the things that I was trying to say was, at some point we're going to get an apprentice skill book drop and a epic piece of gear drop, and we're going to have to make a choice at that point. Do we have a character that we're actually trying to get a piece of epic gear for, and do we at that time then want to jump to a different version of the battle for like fighter or strategist and take advantage of getting that drop to hopefully get that piece that we're looking for? Because before you get to the point where I'm at, and you have characters that have, almost full legendary gear, there's going to be a point where you need to have an epic piece of gear in that slot that's, of the same type they are. And that right there would have been a better choice, but I had this one already leveled up to max levels, why I'm using that versus this one. But you may be trying to farm for those perfect epic pieces that actually fit the type of character you're doing. So let's say if I didn't have any of these and I wanted one for Grey Worm, then I would continue to farm until I got it, type of thing. And that may be where you want to make a choice while you're doing this, that when that does pop up, and it'll happen here in just a minute, you'll get the choice to do both. You may want to do a different version to get that epic piece of gear. But right now we're focused on these, so we're going to continue to look for those. So we're looking in hard, we're looking in treacherous, We got the drop, so we're going to do treacherous. So let's just keep on. I think you pretty much got the drill at this point, but let's just do a few more just to kind of see what happens, see if we can get lucky enough to get that epic chest for the epic gear to drop at the same time. And then I'll show you, you know, what it means to have to make a choice type of thing. Okay, so the drops are gone on treacherous. Let's look on hard. Okay, the drops are gone on hard. So let's do treacherous always. And let's just do a couple more. I'm actually in the process of trying to level up my hero to level 45, so I don't mind to burn a few energy refills here to do this. Like I said, you need to be using those, because unless you're saving them for an event, which is a very valid strategy, a lot of people need to use those to do multiple retries in an event. What's the point of saving them and not using them? So if you're not using them to do these battles, then you really need to ask yourself why, because they're not doing you any good stacking up in your inventory like me. Now, on this one, let's check hard real quick just to see where we're at. Hard has the epic chest. Treacherous has the epic chest, and there is no epic skill book drop or apprentice skill book drop on this level for me, which is what I'm farming for right now. But let's say that I had a strategist that I still needed to try to get this epic piece of gear for, then at this point I may want to go over to the strategist and bust this one out real quick and get that chance at that drop right here, because it's going to happen across all versions. It's still going to be there, whatever the drops are. As far as the rarity level, they will be there across all versions. So that's just something you want to think about. For me right now, I am focused on Mender Apprentice skill books, and I have all my other characters that I'm worried about geared out. So for me, this doesn't really matter, but for you, this may matter. And these drops are good as well, because that gear is better to use for upgrading other gear. The epic moves the needle a lot farther than a common piece does whenever you're trying to upgrade a piece of gear. So you always want to get those drops when possible. They're very valuable. Upgrading your gear is going to be something that's key that you need to do as you progress your heroes. And getting this epic gear right here, this is an example of epic gear. You can see the little background is a little bluer, and it gives the ability on that gear to have it typed to a class. The common is just, common. It just has a stat boost and that's it. But the epic then gives you a class pairing that it can do, and then the legendary version of gear, which is the next step up, the yellows, those give you the class pairing plus a color that you could try to match to. And if you get lucky, you'll get what we call the perfect piece of gear that is a legendary that's actually typed to the class you want and the particular color as well. And then those are really super hard to get for the people that you want. Those are huge bonuses. Okay, so we're going to just continue on. We'll see here. Okay, here's an example of what I was trying to hope would happen so that I could show it to you before I close the video out. This is where you got to make a choice. This is where it gets difficult. Are you going to continue to farm for this apprentice book because that's all you care about at this point? Or do you now say, I have an apprentice book available and that's super good, but I also need that epic piece of gear for whatever class. So now you have to make a choice. For me, the choice is easy because it's not in treacherous, it's only in hard, and I'm going after books, so I'm going to do this one. You may need to make a different choice at this point, and that's what I was hoping would happen so I could show you the result. So let's see the loot result at the end of this battle, and you can see the goodies that we're going to get, and then we'll pretty much close this out at that point, because I think you get it at this point, the most effective strategy. Okay, so on this one we got some common gear, an epic piece, the apprentice skill book. I got 2 that time, so that was a good drop. I got an extra chance one added to it. Some novice, some silver, some XP, some food, and some iron. So this is all good. So that was a good one. So that was a really good drop on this one. So that is the technique. And you can see I checked hard and treacherous, and then boom, I got another one in treacherous. That's why it's important to check, because they're just all over the place. I can't give you a pattern. I honestly don't think one exists. It does seem like it happens every so often at certain intervals, but trust me, we've done tens of thousands of trials trying to figure this out in my community among tons of people working together to try to break this, and we couldn't break it. So if the developers actually have a pattern on this and you're laughing at me right now because you're like, haha, you haven't been able to figure it out, well, good on you, because you did a good job, because I'm telling you, we tried to break this drop pattern and we couldn't do it. So every time we thought we had it figured out, it would change to something else. So the developers, you did a really good job on designing that drop rate to where it couldn't be broken. But anyway, thank you for watching my content today. I really appreciate you being here. This video was especially for new players, like I said, because there's been a lot of influx of new players lately. A lot of new players have been messaging me, asking me for tips and tricks on how to do this. And those are the smart ones, because they knew to try to reach out to somebody that knows to help them learn how to play the game better. So that's why this video was made for you guys. I hope you appreciate it. Share it around all your buddies that are playing the game, that are wanting to know how to do this more effectively, because this will save you a ton of time. I'm telling you, this is the way. Just like the Mandalorian, this is the way, my friend. So thanks for watching my content. I really appreciate it. If you found this educational or informative, please think about liking and subscribing to my channel. I have a milestone that I'm trying to reach of 5,000 subscribers, and I would really love it if you'd partner with me in that. Drag me across the finish line. I would really appreciate that. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you have fun in Game of Thrones Legends. I'll see you in another video about Game of Thrones Legends coming soon. Peace!